Hi, section 1.6. These are the two colors we're going to be using today, and hopefully this is the last time we'll be on such gray paper, because I know it's not easy to see through this. It's probably not easy for you to make out anything either, but I think it's going to work better than the actual book that I'm going to be using to highlight in, so we'll see what happens. For section 1.6, there really isn't too terribly much to highlight, although it's a very important section. So two lines are perpendicular, if that's the symbol for perpendicular, if and only if they intersect to form a right angle, which leads us to quite a few theorems and corollaries. So two lines are perpendicular, then the pairs of adjacent angles they form are congruent. If two lines are perpendicular, then four angles they form are congruent. And if two lines are perpendicular, then all four angles they form are right angles. That's why they're congruent. And then even the theorem below that, two lines intersect to form a pair of congruent adjacent angles, then the lines are perpendicular. Then down at the bottom of that page, they have a definition of a perpendicular bisector. A line, ray, or segment or plane that is perpendicular bisector of a segment if and only if that thing is perpendicular to the segment at its midpoint. It's the midpoint part that makes it a bisector. Perpendicular part is what makes it perpendicular bisector. So that's it for that page, which brings us to the coloring on this page. If there's given any point or line, there's exactly one line that's perpendicular to that line at the given point. That's a big one. Corollary. If there's any given segment or plane in their plane, there's exactly one line that's perpendicular to the bisector of the segment. If the exterior sides of two adjacent acute angles are perpendicular, then the angles are complementary because they have to be right angles. If there is a point not on a line, then there is exactly one perpendicular given to the line through that given point. We did that in algebra, where we talked about finding a line that was perpendicular to a line that they gave you through a specific point. That's what that is. Only we're not going to be finding it. We're just going to use that knowledge. So yeah, that is the highlighting for this section, and this was the last section in this chapter. So I suggest you make sure you've gotten all of your highlighting done and all of the transferring from the yellow to the definitions page and the purple to the postulates page done, because I will be making sure that I check your notebook after chapter 1, which is now. So that's one of the main things I'm looking for in your notebook, is making sure you're keeping up with your definitions and your postulates. And when we get into chapter 2 it'll be really important that you can find those postulates and make sure that they're as short and concise as possible. That's very important. Short and sweet to the point. It's exactly the way you want my videos, exactly the way I need those postulates. And I will see you later.